Now, okay, today we'll talk little bit about the solar system or sun. The solar system is done. Little bit about sun I want to talk about today. So I'll be talking very briefly because rest of the things related to the sun you'll be doing in the science and technology class. So this is called as the core of the sun. Core of the sun. So in the core of the sun, all the nuclear reactions will be taking place. Nuclear reactions. That is, the hydrogen, with the help of nuclear fission, it will become helium. So all the nuclear reactions are taking place here, and the temperature of the core is around 15 million degrees centigrade. So this is the hottest part of the sun. Next, you have the second layer. This is called as radiative zone. Radiative zone. So whatever energy which has been released here, that will be radiated out. Now you can ask, there are the various modes of heat transfer: conduction, convection, radiation. The sun is made up of gas, hydrogen gas. So gas is a bad conductor of heat. So what are the other ways of heat transfer here? Convection and radiation. And sun, despite it is being made up of gas, it is so dense here. It is so dense that convection will not happen. The matter will not flow. That's why the radiation will happen. Means here, for the energy to come from this point to this point, it is so dense, thick plasma that on an average it will be taking around 1 lakh years. Sometimes some photons or energy particles will be taking millions of years also, from here to here. Okay, and telling the most important aspects. So rest of the aspects you will get anywhere. Okay, what is important for the examination, that I am telling you. And anyways, in more detail you will be studying in science and technology. And the next layer here is convection zone. So here the density decreases a bit. That's why the convection is taking place here. So this is called as the convective zone. So rest of the layers I will not be discussing much here. So I will discuss, okay, those points which will be useful, okay, which have come in the current affairs, because this is purely prelims focused. Now, don't you think sometimes the convection can increase here? Of course, after this, there are 3 other layers which are very thin. So you have other layers also which are very thin here. Very thin. It doesn't matter. So sometimes the convection will increase because whenever there is more energy being emitted from inside, okay, the convection will increase. So because of which you will see a phenomena called as the solar flares. So this is what I want to get it, solar flares. Next topic is solar flares. Now you are able to get what I am trying to convey. You see such kind of fire which is coming out of the sun. This is the solar flare. So it is nothing but it happens because of the convection. So whenever the solar flare comes, a very large amount of energy is emitted. Then what is the difference between the solar flare and CME? Okay, CN is coronal mass ejection. So that I will show in the next slide. Now, what happened, what is in the news is the NASA satellites recently detected a massive solar flare with superheated plasma erupting from the sun and spreading out in a dramatic wing-like shape. Now you must be understanding these points. Okay, so they are sudden. Obviously, they will not be gradual. Okay, it's like आप आग लगा दिया कहीं पे, कभी-कभी okay आग अचानक से ऊपर भी आ जाता है. The same fashion जैसे आग में फ्लेयर आती है. For example, आप गैस चला रहे हो, गैस के पाइप के कनेक्शन में कुछ गड़बड़ी हो गया, तब भी थोड़ा ज़्यादा गैस आ जाता है. Similarly, in the sun also गैस आ जाती है. Okay, so these are nothing but intense bursts of electromagnetic radiation from the sun due to magnetic field lines realignment. Now, I'll be talking about one more layer here. So, apart from these layers, on the surface of the sun, you have these magnetic field lines. जैसे आप जूते के ऊपर शू लेसेस बांधते हो ना, वैसे ही magnetic field lines, they are released and they are realigned also. And Earth का atmosphere होता है, so this is Earth. So the Earth's atmosphere is made up of gas, right? Now this is sun. The sun itself is made up of gas. Therefore, the sun's so-called atmosphere, it is made up of the magnetic field lines. And this magnetic field lines, this layer is called as corona, solar corona. आपने corona virus सुना है? Corona is nothing but crown like appearance. Means sun के ऊपर एक ताज की जैसा दिखता है. So that's why it is called as corona. So this is where you will be having magnetic fields, and it is the so-called the atmosphere of the sun. And obviously, okay, whenever you have these solar flares, these magnetic field lines, they will break and they will be going towards the sun. Oh, sorry, going towards the earth. So they are directed towards the earth. And the intensity can vary here. Sometimes it will be more intense, sometimes it will be less intense. And depending upon, okay, the intensity, they are categorized into A, B, C, M and X. Okay, so X being the most powerful. This is very important, remember this. Now what all kind of radiation it will release? Again, I guess in the last class I have told you, or in some of my previous lectures I have told you, so entire electromagnetic spectrum can be released. So wherever you have a source, entire electromagnetic spectrum can be released. So it can release cosmic radiation. So it can release the gamma, okay, X-rays, UV, then you have visible. So while you are moving towards this side, the energy is reducing. The energy is low. Now again, one more point I am telling you here. Now if you want to observe, say ENTs, yesterday we have discussed ENTs, or gamma ray bursts, or supernova explosion. So if you want to observe such kind of high intensity incidents in the universe, then we have to look in this radiation spectrum. For example, you have this astrosat. The astrosat will not be looking at supernova and the merging of the black holes or the merging of the neutron stars in the visible spectrum. It will be looking in X-ray and UV spectrum. So if you want to see higher energy incidents in the universe, you have to shift towards this. For example, if you want to observe the moon, so moon itself does not have its own light, source of light. So will you see the moon in UV spectrum or X-ray spectrum? No, right? So you have to see in infrared spectrum. Say if you want to see someone in the night time, if you want to see the location in the night time. Will you see in the visible spectrum? Because night time there is no energy, there is no light, source of light. That's why you have to move towards the infrared spectrum. So if you get these basics right, you will answer most of the questions with logic. And beyond 30 questions, your logic will help you. रटा हुआ knowledge कुछ भी help नहीं करेगा. Okay. So they are associated with magnetic storms known as CMEs, coronal mass ejection. For example, कभी-कभी यहाँ पे energy बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाता है, intensity will become more. So part of the coronal mass, solar mass, will be directed towards you. So previously in the UPSC, what they have asked, okay. Now, whenever such kind of solar flares will be increasing, or whenever such kind of CMEs are directed towards the earth, what will happen? See, you can blindly mark all the above here, all the above. भैया इससे क्या हो सकता है? This is now nothing but electromagnetic radiation. So when such kind of high intense electromagnetic radiation, X-rays or UV, when they are directed towards you, your radio communication will be disrupted. आप भी तो भैया यहाँ पे सैटेलाइट तक आप रेडियो वेव से यूज़ करते हैं ना, तो ये वाली तार जा रही है, ये वाली रेडिएशन जा रही है, मोबाइल से सैटेलाइट तक जा रही है. अभी सूरज फेंक रहा है बड़ा रेडिएशन, भैया ये वाला तार तो टूटेगा ना, आपका जो रेडियो वेव्स है वो तो वीक है, वो तो टूटेगा. So again, with the high intensity radiation, your electronic equipment which you are using, satellites वगैरह, वो भी खराब हो जाएंगे. And imagine, say part of the sun का एक टुकड़ा, okay, with very heavy force, it is directed towards the earth. Don't you think it can cause tsunami also? Don't you think it can cause tides also? So anything can be caused. Now if you keep this in mind, okay, then you can answer at least 10 questions. भैया आपको पता नहीं है क्या क्या होता है. एक बार यूपीएससी ने क्वेश्चन दिया था, okay, what can happen, okay, if the CME is directed towards the earth. कुछ भी हो सकता है वहाँ पे. So blindly mark the above, all the above. Don't think much in such kind of scenario. Right? Okay. Now they occur mostly during the solar maximum, peak of the solar cycle. Now even the sun has solar cycles. Means on the sun, on the surface of the sun, you will be having sunspots. Now every 11 years the sunspots will peak. Okay, फिर कम हो जाता है. फिर after 22 years again they will peak. Then after 33 years again they will peak. So sun का भी solar maxima, solar minima, solar maxima, solar minima. So this is the solar cycle. So whenever the solar cycle peaks, okay, such kind of incidents will be more. And this is after every 11 years. Okay. Next, what is CME? I guess the animation is visible here. You can see this magnetic field lines which are coming out of the sun. So here some amount of mass of the sun will be ejected. So we can say a CME जो है ना solar flare का बाप है. Now differences, okay, I have mentioned here. Okay, you can go through. Anyways, you guys want the PPT, I will be sending the PPT. See, in my PPTs, okay, more of pictures are there because you might have read all these things somewhere or other, लेकिन आपने कभी देखा नहीं होगा, इसलिए मैंने visual presentations ज़्यादा दिखाया. So only difference, okay, you can note down here between CME and the solar flare is these are massive. ये 10x, 20x, 100x ज़्यादा होता है, बस इतना ही difference है. Now what can be the implications of the CMEs? Just now I told you implications can be anything. So Earth का magnetosphere, because Earth also has a magnetic field around it. So Earth का magnetic field है. अभी भैया सन ने फेंका है, okay, बड़ा सा what गोला or okay mass, okay, which is coming from the corona. That's what is called as coronal mass ejection. Don't you think the magnetic field lines can be disrupted? Tsunamis can come, okay, and in fact, okay, if the CME is more, the orbit of the Earth can also be disrupted. That can also be the scenario. The tilt, the axis of the Earth can also be deflected. Anything can happen. Okay, keep this in mind. So implications, power grids failure can happen, pipelines can be disrupted, etc. Anything can be there. Okay, so it can enhance auroras also. The northern and southern lights, okay, which are found in the higher latitudes, they can be enhanced. Okay, and when it becomes more and more, even in the lower latitudes, the auroras, this northern lights, southern lights, they can also appear. So anything can happen. So for example, in the examination, आपको ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, आपने पढ़ा है कि auroras, okay, will be there in the higher latitudes only. अभी lower latitudes में कैसे होता है इतना, okay, आप सोचो मत वहाँ पे. एक ही चीज़ याद रखना, फ्यूचर में पॉसिबिलिटी होगा. एंड टू मोर थिंग्स यू हैव टू रिमेंबर. क्या आपने जितने भी सोलर फ्लेयर्स रिलीज हुए और CMEs रिलीज हुआ है, सारी चीज़ों को आपने पढ़ाया क्या? नहीं पढ़ाया, राइट? आफ्टर ऑल, व्हाट इज द स्पैन ऑफ ह्यूमन लाइफ ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ द अर्थ? अपनी हिस्ट्री कितनी है, एंड उसमें साइंटिफिक हिस्ट्री कितनी है? At max 50-60 years. Since from 50-60 years, we have been studying all this phenomena scientifically, right? उसमें आपने सारे चीज़ें ऑब्जर्व कर लिया क्या? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, सन को आपने पूरा पढ़ लिया. क्या आपने पूरा यूनिवर्स को पढ़ा है क्या? वहाँ पे भी स्टार्स है, वहाँ पे भी कुछ भी हो सकता है, राइट? सो अगर ये चीज़, ओके, आपके मन में है, देन यू विल बी एबल टू सॉल्व मेनी क्वेश्चंस. मैं CMEs फिर से बताऊँ क्या? ओके, बिकॉज यू हैव आस्क्ड दिस. क्लियर हो गया होगा अब तक. ओके, सो इतना ही है डिफरेंस. जो अब कितना भी ऐसा कंटेंट पढ़ो, आपके दिमाग में नहीं घुसेगा, लेकिन एक बार आपने अगर पिक्चर देख लिया, आपको समझ में आ जाएगा. ओके, दिस इज CME. अंडरस्टूड? रियलमी पैड कौन है? सो implications, solar flare implications. So again, we have discussed this. So GPS signals can be disrupted. Minor satellite glitches can happen, right? Of course, the X class is more extreme. So X28 flare has happened in 2003. Okay, it is the strongest recorded till now, etc. एक बार तो Canada में पूरा blackout हो गया था. Power grid failure has happened because of this CME, and entire पावर ब्लैकआउट हैज हैपेंड. मतलब पूरी तरह बिजली चला गया था. ब्लैकआउट मतलब बिजली चला जाना हर जगह. इंडिया में भी हुआ था, बट इट इज नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ द सोलर फ्लेयर, बट बिकॉज इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ सम चाइनीज कॉन्स्पिरेसी. नाउ यू सी, ओके, नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज द कॉमेट. सो yesterday we have discussed about two types of comets. One is the short distance one, other is the long distance one. The short distance one will be coming from the Kuiper belt, and the long distance one will be coming from the Oort cloud. Now what is this, okay, comet made up of? So comet में क्या होता है? See, सोलर सिस्टम का जो भी पार्ट है उसी से कॉमेट भी बनता है. लेकिन प्रॉब्लम क्या है? ये क्या है? कॉमेट, okay, see, every object in the solar system has got certain orbit. So comet has a orbit, but again it has a very long orbit, an elliptical orbit, and it will be revolving around the sun. So जो भी पार्टिकल सोलर सिस्टम में है उसी से कॉमेट बना हुआ होता है. सो कॉमेट में पत्थर भी होंगे, गैसेस भी होंगे, बट द गैसेस विल बी मोर इन द कॉमेट. सो सब सिर्फ गैसेस होगा तो गैसेस तो ऑपरेट होगा, कॉमेट खत्म हो जानी चाहिए. सो इसमें पत्थर भी होगा. सो इट विल बी हैविंग सम रॉक्स, सम मेटल्स एंड सम गैसेस. बट व्हेनेवर दिस कॉमेट इज अप्रोचिंग टुवर्ड्स द sun, so the gases which are volatile, okay, they'll be releasing a tail. That's why the comets have a visible tail. Okay, so it's also called as icy snowball. Okay, ice, rock, dust. Okay, so it can range between 1 to 10 kilometers. So whenever it comes near the sun, okay, the ice evaporate, okay, and the coma or the tail is visible. Sometimes it can also have two tails. Origin, Oort cloud, Kuiper belt. Okay, orbits are highly elliptical in nature. Okay, okay. So of course, whenever they are approaching towards the sun, they'll be losing certain mass, because don't you think the gases are getting evaporated? When the gases gets evaporated, it will be losing certain mass also. So more than this, the UPSC won't be asking anything. If at all, they are asking about comet. Okay. Now that comet is different and this is different. Right. Now, this can be differentiated into three. So these are the objects in the solar system which are directed towards the Earth. So when it is beyond the Earth's atmosphere, it is called as meteoroid. It is nothing but a rock which is directed towards the Earth. And as soon as it enters the atmosphere, this is the atmosphere. So since it is coming at hypersonic speed, so it will generate a lot of friction. And because of the friction, it will burn with the help of oxygen. So it becomes meteor. See, sometimes, most of the times, so whatever objects are directed towards the Earth, they will burn out completely. But sometimes what happens, they will not burn out completely. A part of it can come and hit the Earth. And this is called as meteorite. Okay. So spelling ध्यान रखना यहाँ पे. Okay. What is a normal view you are talking about? Switch back to the normal view. I am not understanding. So these are the meteors. Okay, if it is burning meteors, if some part is remaining, it is called as meteorite. Now, oldest meteorite impact crater. Okay, so this is there in Australia. So this is estimated to be around 3.5 million years old. It predates all known craters by over billions of years. Means अगर इतना पुराना meteorite form हुआ, by now it should have been totally denuded, or eroded, but it is still remaining. Okay, the thing which you are saying, it's not in my hands. I can't do that. Close the main screen so we can see you on a full screen view. So that is not there in my hands. I can't do that. You can contact Ashutosh for that. Okay. Now, where is the location here? Okay, Pilbara region of Western Australia. So it is dome-shaped geological formation near the Antarctic Creek member. Now this Antarctic Creek member, is not there in Antarctica, but it is located in Western Australia. Okay. So Antarctic Creek member is a distinct rock layer containing sedimentary rocks and impact spherules, most molten droplets from the meteorite impacts. So what is the scientific importance of this? So it supports the theory of continental formation, means उस ज़माने में rocks कैसे होते थे अपन को पता चलेगा. And one more important thing about this meteorite is we will get to know what are the interiors of the Earth, which we will discuss later. Okay. So it backs a theory that early meteorite impacts contributed to the formation of the Earth's first continents by providing external energy to melt and modify the crust. See, you have the Earth, and inside the Earth you have a lot of residual heat, right? Now this residual heat has to come out. Only when the residual heat comes out, you'll be having the processes such as volcanism, earthquakes, mountain building, etc. Now for it to come out, either the force from inside has to be very high, बहुत जोर से वो अंदर से बाहर आना है, नहीं तो बाहर से अगर कोई पंक्चर भी कर दिया फिर भी ठीक है. So some of the geological processes on the surface of the Earth, which has done the job of sculpting and shaping the Earth, has been done by these meteorites. जोर से आके इसको धक्का लगाया, so धरती को फोड़ दिया पूरी तरह, तब जाके अंदर का जो मैग्मा है, लावा है, वो बाहर निकला. Understood? So that is the meaning of this sentence. Understood? Okay. So comparison with other theories. Previously it was believed that the early continents were formed due to internal heat driven processes like mantle plumes or plate tectonics. which we'll be discussing later. Means, see, अंदर का heat dissipate करने के लिए you have this mantle plumes also. So earlier people believed that, okay, they have shaped and sculpted the earth. But again, external objects like meteorites can also help in shaping the earth. Okay, so with this, okay, we have done with the solar system. So we'll be entering into next topic here. So next topic is the rocks and minerals. Now, what is the shape of the earth? The shape of the earth is also called as the geoid. Geoid means the earth-like. So, is it a perfect sphere? No, it's not a perfect sphere. Now, if you look at the equatorial diameter and the polar diameter, the polar diameter is comparatively less. So, it is 12,714 kilometers and the equatorial diameter is 12,756 kilometers. Now, why the equatorial diameter is more? Because when the earth is rotating on its axis, so because of this centrifugal force, you have an equatorial bulge. So earlier they used to ask questions like, what is the gravitational force over the equator as compared to the poles? The answer is very simple. So the formula of gravitational force is F is equal to G m1 m2 by r square. So more is the radius, lesser will be the gravity. So even today, over the poles, the force of gravity will be comparatively more as compared to the equator. Means your weight will be more over the poles as compared to the equator. So UPSC has asked these questions in the 90s, long time back. Now they won't be asking this question. Okay. So this is the only relevance of this. Again, Earth's circumference is around 40,000 kilometers, which is not of that relevance. Okay. Now, what is the elemental composition of the Earth? Sorry, this is elemental composition of the crust. So, what is the crust made up of? So, I will not be just helping you in mugging up. I will tell you with the logic here. Now, why the oxygen is in highest quantity? See, if you look at the interiors of the earth, what is the core made up of? The core is mostly made up of iron, right? And the volume of the core is comparatively very less. Around 63% of the volume of the earth is made up of mantle, okay? And then you have the crust. The crust is a very thin layer. Now, this mantle and the crust, both are made up of silicates. What is silicate? Silicate is SiO2. So your answer is here. So the mantle is made up of ferro-magnesium silicates and the crust is made up of even lighter silicates. So the concentration of oxygen should be more. Now if you look at the concentration of oxygen and the concentration of silicon, almost double, because the formula is SiO2. So SiO2 is in the form of chains like this. So it is in this form, never ending chain. And the chains are broken by the metals. Means यहाँ पे iron भी लगा सकते हो. Okay. Okay, whatever you want to keep, potassium, sodium, iron, magnesium, etc. So these are attached by these metals. And you have this mnemonic also for this, you can remember anyways, okay. Osaic, if you want to remember, you can remember this way, osaic, okay. So iron you have to remember the concentration, iron is around 5%. So remember only these, okay, rest you can ignore. Now don't get confused between the composition of the crust and composition of the entire planet. So this is the composition of entire planet. Now here, when you take the composition of the entire planet, the concentration of the iron is highest over here, because most of the iron, 95% of the core is made up of iron. Now, why not other elements but iron? अगर कोई बता देगा, कोई भी, मैं मान लूंगा कि इस बार आप IAS बन ही जाओगे. Why iron? इंडिया में कोई टीचर भी बता नहीं पाएगा शायद. बताओ. You can comment. Dense metal, density, etc. Heavy metal, settle down, okay. So इसके लिए आपको दूसरे डायमेंशन में जाना पड़ेगा. There is something called as nuclear binding force. So this is nuclear binding force, and these are the elements: hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, etc. This is iron. So the nuclear binding force will keep on increasing, and at the iron it will become maximum. This is Fe26. At 26 atomic number, the nuclear binding force will be highest, and iron is the most stable nucleus. I am not talking about atom here. Most stable nucleus in the universe. इसीलिए आपको अर्थ के कोर में आयरन मिलता है, जुपिटर के कोर में आयरन मिलता है, सैटर्न के कोर में आयरन मिलता है. Even though they are gaseous planets, in their core you will be having iron, because it is the most stable nucleus in the entire universe. And not only Earth, if some asteroid is coming and hitting you, it becomes a meteorite, and 70 to 80% of the meteorite has iron. It has got metallic texture. So in the evidences of the Earth interiors, we will study this. And rest you can ignore. Of course, oxygen होगा तो silicon भी होगा. And afterwards you have magnesium, sulfur, nickel, etc. You can ignore this, but this is the logic. आपको रटना है तो रट सकते हो. मैं logic बता दिया आपको. Now, let's see what are present in the interiors of the Earth. Again, this diagram is a bit complex. I'll get back to the blackboard here. I don't like doing with PPTs, I like blackboard, because then only I can develop the things organically. So, rocks and minerals. So what is the difference? In the school you must have done this lecture of probability. So in probability you must have done this, that you have a jar. In the jar you have this red balls, blue balls and green balls, right? So if you take out a red ball, what is the probability of getting a green ball? Something of that sort. Okay, probability related problems you must have done. So imagine such a jar where this red, green, blue balls, these are systemically arranged. So it's a repetition. So the repetition of the chemical formula. But in rocks, they are chaotically arranged. In fact, the mixture of minerals will become a rock. Chaotic mixture of minerals become rock. Now, what are the various types of minerals? Types. So the only difference between the mineral and the rock, okay, at the definition stage is a mineral has a set formula. So whatever I am saying, you will get it anywhere in any textbook or any notebook or any notes, you will get everywhere. So mineral has a set formula and this formula repeats by itself. So that's why it will be having a set of melting point and this will be having a range of melting point. Now what are the various types of minerals? Minerals can be oxides, sulfides, carbonates, etc. You will be having various types of minerals. But as far as geography is concerned, we are not concerned about all these minerals. So we are concerned about silicates. So these minerals are very important. Why silicates? Because your crust on which you are living and your mantle, which is responsible for most of the geological processes, both are made up of silicates. Now let's see what are these various types of silicates. Silicate types. See, silicates mean what is common? The common thing in silicate is SiO2 minus 2. Okay. So this SiO2 minus 2 can be paired up with sodium, potassium. It can be paired up with calcium. It can be paired up with iron, magnesium. Right? So if it is paired up with sodium potassium, means it should be having more of sodium and potassium. And of course, calcium, iron and magnesium can also be there. If you want, I will give a chemical formula here. Say something is made up of Na something X, K Y, Ca Z, okay, Fe A, Mgb, okay, and SiO2. But the quantity of this is more. And these are called as lighter silicates. Lighter silicates. And these lighter silicates are mostly present in the crust. Then it can be paired up with calcium also. So the content of the calcium is more, it is called as intermediate. Now this can be paired up with the iron and magnesium also, ferromagnesium silicates, and these are called as heavier silicates. So these are the three classes of the silicates. And here we have seen this chaotic diagram. So these are various types of minerals which are present inside the earth. Orthoclase, quartz, plagioclase, pyroxene, olivine, etc. So this is the depth. So as the depth is increasing, you'll be getting more and more of olivine. And on the surface of the earth, you'll be finding more and more quartz or orthoclase. Means sodium, potassium will be more in the upper layers of the earth. So iron and magnesium will be more in the inner layers of the earth. Now, so while you are going deep inside the earth, now these properties are very important. So later on, it will be helpful to you in judging earthquakes, volcanoes, and plate tectonics also. So while you're going deep inside the earth, the silicates will become heavier. Silicates become heavier. Okay, so I'll write it the order also. Sodium, potassium, it will be moving towards iron and magnesium. And while you're moving towards the interiors of the earth, the silica content reduces. Silica content reduces because the silica is light. सिलिका मतलब क्या है? मिट्टी है, लाइट है और तैर के ऊपर आ जाती है. Because after the formation of the earth, you have this convection taking place. So this churning is taking place inside. जब एक convection हो रहा था, so lighter elements have been surfaced out and the heavier elements, they were sinking inside. So that is how the earth has been concentrically arranged. हल्के वाले बाहर आ गए, भारी वाले अंदर चले गए. And silica मिट्टी होती है, लाइट होती है, वो बाहर की तरफ आ गया and जितने भी metals है वो अंदर की तरफ चले गए. The silica content reduces as the depth increases. And next one. Obviously, while you are moving into the interiors of the earth, the melting point also increases. Because lower melting point वाला silicate अंदर exist ही नहीं कर पाएगा, वो melt होके बाहर की तरफ आ जाएगा. Okay? So the melting point increases. And talking about the silicates, on the surface of the earth, you'll be having more of felsic content. The felsic means, this is derived from the word feldspar. So feldspar is nothing but a lighter silicate. The felsic content will be more. Okay. Then, okay, while you are going in the interiors, it will become intermediate. Then the content will become more mafic and ultramafic. Mafic and ultramafic. Okay, if you know these terms, good and great. If you don't know, then also it's fine. Again, while you move inside the interiors of the earth, the viscosity, reduces. Means, while you are moving inside the earth, the things will become more mobile. अगर हिंदी में बोले तो, towards the surface of the earth, the magma or the molten rock will be more viscous. ये बहुत गाढ़ा होता है. अंदर की तरफ बहुत fluid जैसा होता है. ये पानी की तरह होता है. Now, what is the relationship between? I'll tell you some logic here. I'll not be, मैं ऐसे रटोफाई नहीं करवाऊंगा. What is the relationship between this viscosity and silicate? So there is a relationship between these two. So what is the relationship here? See, silica जो है, it is in the form of chain. A chain है. And this chain, this monotony of this chain, it is broken by the metals such as anything, sodium, potassium, magnesium, iron, etc. Now silica हल्की है, so silica content will be more near the surface of the earth. While you are going deep inside the earth, the silica content reduces. ये सिलिका एक चेन जैसा है. जब तक ये चेन जितना लंबा होगा, जितना ज़्यादा क्वांटिटी में होगा, okay, उतना mobility नहीं होगा. Mobility will be less. Imagine, okay, you guys are holding hands with each other. Everyone is holding hands with each other. Okay, and then if I'm asking you to move out of the room, I'm pushing you out of the room. You guys will be able to move out of the door easily? नहीं ना. मैं आपको बोलता हूँ हाथ छोड़ दो. Then if you guys are moving individually, so आप दरवाजे से आराम से बाहर निकल जाओगे, right? So in the same fashion, okay, the silica content reduces while you're going deep inside, okay. So the length of the chain is less, that's why it will become easily mobile, it will become more fluidic, okay. And towards the surface, the silica content is more, that's why it becomes more viscous. Is this point clear to everyone? And there is one more point here which is important, acidity. And acidity is directly proportional to the silica content. More is the silica, more acidic it is. Less is the silica, less acidic it is. Now what is the relevance? Of course, okay, आपने पूरा ये chemistry पढ़ लिया. But what is the relevance? Because geography studies the man and environment relationship. तो geographers को क्या पढ़ना है? Surface phenomena तो पढ़ना है ना. तो आप मुझे पूछोगे सर ये मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, अंदर जो चल रहा है हमारे जोग्राफर से क्या मतलब है? जोग्राफर तो रहता है यहाँ पे. सो मतलब यहाँ पे, नाउ ऑन द सरफेस यू विल बी हैविंग दिस वोल्केनिक फिनोमिना. से अंदर से वोल्केनो आया, एक वोल्केनो आया यहाँ से ए, एक वोल्केनो आया यहाँ से बी. So among these two volcanoes A and B, tell me which one is explosive? कौन सा वोल्केनो विस्फोट होके बाहर निकलेगा? कौन सा वोल्केनो ज्यादा तबाही मचाएगा? B is wrong. A. तो यही पे तो यूपीएससी क्वेश्चन पूछता है ना, यही पे लॉजिक की जरूरत पड़ती है. सी द थिंग विच इज कमिंग फ्रॉम इनसाइड, वो डीप से आ रहा है, उसको बाहर विस्फोट करने के लिए फॉर इट टू बिकम एक्सप्लोसिव इट शुड कम अप विथ वेरी हाई एनर्जी. एंड व्हेन इट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम 2900 kilometers, do you think that energy will be sustained? उतना दूर तक ट्रैवल करने के बाद भी उसका पास एनर्जी रहेगा? नहीं भैया, that energy will be faded out. एटलीस्ट ये वाला लॉजिक लगाओ. दूसरा लॉजिक ये है, the thing which is coming from deep inside the earth is highly fluidic. वो आराम से बाहर निकलेगा. सो उसको छोटी सी छेद मिल गई, वो पानी जैसा बाहर बह जाएगा. बट द मैग्मा विच इज सोर्स फ्रॉम द अपर लेयर्स ऑफ द अर्थ, इट इज हाईली विस्कस, बहुत गाढ़ा है. छोटी छेद अगर दोगे उससे बाहर नहीं निकलेगा वो, ओके. उसको चाहिए बड़ा एरिया. सो वेन एवर इट ऊजेस आउट, वेन एवर इट कम्स आउट, वो पूरा एक साथ आने की कोशिश करेगा तो पूरा फोड़ के बाहर आएगा. सो दीज आर हाईली explosive because they have more silica content. So that's why I have explained you all this. So ये वाला आपको कोई भी मटेरियल में नहीं मिलेगा. आप इसके बाद जब भी आपको रिकॉर्डेड क्लासेस मिलेंगे, इसको आप नोट डाउन करो. एंड आपको रात को मैं देख रहा था कि आप मैसेज करे ही जा रहे हो भैया. इसके बाद क्लास को प्रोसेस करके ओके अपलोड करने में टाइम लगता है. ऑफ कोर्स कल फर्स्ट डे था, यू विल बी हैविंग ए लॉट ऑफ एनर्जी, दैट्स व्हाई आपको वो वाली क्यूरियोसिटी होगी, जल्दी मिलना चाहिए. बट द कंस्ट्रेंट इज देयर, ओके, बिकॉज देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज एडिटिंग ऑल्सो. थोड़ा बहुत वीडियो को एडिट करना पड़ता है. देन द साइज एट विच वी रिकॉर्ड इट्स वेरी हाई. वो 100 GB 50 GB में जाता है. सो उसको reduce करके कंप्रेस करके ओके द साइज हैड टू बी reduced. And then okay over the internet it has to be uploaded, but still okay the file size is 5 to 10 GB. It has to be uploaded. okay इंडिया में भैया GBPS का तो इंटरनेट नहीं है, राइट, MBPS का ही है. so उसके लिए फिर टाइम लगता है. okay these things will take time. okay you understood this part? so somebody is asking viscosity relationship with silicates. अभी तो बताया ना, सिलिकेट्स आर चेन. जितना चेन लंबा होगा उतना ही विस्कोसिटी ज्यादा होगा. आई टोल्ड यू एनालॉजी ऑल्सो. अब एक साथ सब हाथ पकड़े हो and then if I am asking you to move, then you won't be able to move very easily. For example, take marbles. सारे marbles को चिपका दो एक दूसरे से and उसको आप ऊपर से फेंको. So will it flow very easily? और okay, जितने भी marbles को आपने चिपका है वो सब तोड़ दो and individual marbles को नीचे फेंको. So which one will be flowing very easily? Individual ones. So bigger the chain, lesser will be the viscosity. Okay. So this difference, okay, you have understood. Now we are so why this topic has come? Because we are studying rocks and minerals. So what are the various types of minerals you have seen? And among all the minerals, silicates are very important, and these are the various types of silicates. Now, let's enter into the topic called as rocks. Now, see, if you understand my class in this way, you'll be able to answer any question, and this class is very, very important, and this will be laying foundation for your volcano topic, earthquake topic, and plate tectonics topic also. This is very important. Now, let's discuss about rocks here. Now you must have studied what are the various types of rocks. Okay, igneous type of rock, okay, sedimentary type of rocks, and you have this metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic, you have studied all this. But today I will take you in different dimension. Okay, so you must have studied igneous types of the rocks, which are formed by the molten lava or magma. Okay, they are of various types, blah blah blah. Okay. But okay, once in the mains examination, they have asked a 10 marker on igneous rocks. Bhaiya kya likhoge? If you are writing just NCERT knowledge, you will not be getting any marks. So you will be diving deeper. So it is not just the intention of writing a good answer in the mains examination, but also you will understand the entire dynamics. You will be able to understand the geomorphology in a very comprehensive way. Okay, thank you Adhiraj. Okay, a wish puri ho jaye. So, first let's talk about the igneous rocks. See, say this is the crust. And somewhere here below you have the core. See, core से कुछ नहीं बाहर निकलेगा. This is the core. Nothing comes out of the core. What is the proof? अगर core से कुछ बाहर आता, imagine something coming out of the core. Then भैया iron के खंबे होते ना, instead of rocks on the surface of the earth, because 95% of the core is made up of iron. कहीं आपको दिखते हैं क्या iron के खंबे? नहीं. So nothing will come out of the core. Whatever comes out, it comes out from the mantle. Now, when the things are oozing out of the mantle, because inside this there is a lot of heat, this heat has to be dissipated out. So, rock will melt in the form of this mantle plume. The molten rocks will be oozing out. So, when they ooze out, this rock, so this magma can be solidified here, and this magma can also come out on the surface and it can solidify here. So when this molten rock is inside the earth, it is called as magma. So when this molten rock, when it comes out on the surface expression of magma is called as lava. So this is the difference. Now, if this magma is solidified here, it will form the intrusive igneous rocks. Intrusive igneous rock. Now, if this magma has an expression of lava, it will be forming extrusive igneous rock. extrusive and intrusive. Now, what is the major difference between these two? So, when it is solidified inside the crust, the rate of cooling is very low. Rate of cooling is low. Means ये जो पत्थर है बहुत ही धीमे cool होगा. Sometimes it will be taking millions of years also to cool down, because the heat has to be dissipated out. And earth के अंदर जब होता है heat इतना dissipate नहीं होता है. So rate of cooling is slow. And here the rate of cooling is fast. Rate of cooling is fast here. So this is where the real difference will happen. Now these all things you can write in the igneous rocks or the topic of primary rocks. Now for example, okay, say you guys are sitting in a class. मैं आपको बोलूँगा, okay, आप एक दूसरे से के साथ जुड़ जाओ, दोस्ती बनाओ, and you guys form a group. Okay, you have 1 hour time. क्या आप एक दूसरे से एक घंटे में दोस्त बन पाओगे? नहीं. Say I'm giving you like 6 months or 1 year. अभी 6 महीने के बाद, 1 साल के बाद, okay, even if I don't tell you, you guys will make friends with each other. You will be forming bonds and groups in the class, right? So more time you take, more bonds you will create. Lesser time you won't be able to create those many bonds, right? So here extrusive igneous rocks, the rate of cooling is very fast. Therefore here you will be having very small crystals or no crystals or invisible crystals. Here in intrusive igneous rocks you will be having visible crystals. So this is a difference, major difference between intrusive igneous rock and the extrusive igneous rock. Now I'll be showing you various crystals here. So there's a diagram over here of intrusive and extrusive, which I've explained. You see here, granite, okay, this is rhyolite. So the granite is intrusive igneous rock, it has got visible crystals. Now the chemical formula of these two is the same, but the place where it has been formed makes all the difference. Okay, so granite, rhyolite. Okay, so then you have andesite, diorite. So andesite is extrusive, this is intrusive. Okay, then you have basalt gabbro. Now see, this next thing which I'll be doing, you will not be finding it anywhere, but again you note down this because it will be useful to you. I'll give you a table of igneous rocks, because this thing you can use anywhere in the topic of volcanism, earthquakes, etc. थोड़ा difficult है, लेकिन अब याद रख लो, बहुत ही easy हो जाएगा. ये वाला टेबल रट लेना आप, हाँ? It will be very helpful to you. See, towards this direction, the depth is increasing. Okay, so what will happen to the silica content? Silica content will reduce. So what will happen to the melting point? Melting point will increase. What will happen to the acidity? Acidity will reduce. Okay, so these are the rocks which are present in the upper layers of the earth. Okay, and these rocks are called as felsic rocks. Now while you are going a little bit deeper, you will find the intermediate, so then you will find the rocks which are mafic, and these are ultramafic. Okay. So here in this felsic rocks, the silica content is more than 70%. So 70% is related to the silica content. So this is around 55 to 65% of silica, and this is 45 to 55, and this is less than 40%. Now this is the chemical formula of the chemical composition of the rock. Now while it is coming from inside, it can be solidified here also, means in the deep interiors of the earth, it can be solidified outside also. So the magma can be solidified, plus also the lava can be solidified. Now if it is solidified in the form of lava, it will become extrusive igneous rock. If it is solidified inside, it becomes intrusive igneous rock. अगर कोई चीज अंदर सॉलिडिफाई हो रही है with more than 70% of silica content, which is highly acidic, this is called as granite. Now, if it is solidifying inside with 55 to 65% of silica content, it is called as diorite. 45 to 55, it is called as gabbro, and this is called as peridotite. But if the peridotite is solidified, it can be solidified outside also, but the chances are very unlikely. So I will not be confusing with you that. If the gabbro is solidifying outside, if it comes out, it becomes basalt. Okay. If it is solidified outside, it is called as andesite, and this is called as rhyolite. And this is called as comatite. Now, if it is becoming difficult for you to mug up all these things, so at least mug up granite, okay, andesite, basalt, okay, only these things you mug up. So rest you can ignore. So granite, okay, why it is very important? Because see, it has very high silica content, बहुत गाढ़ा है, क्या ये बाहर निकल पाएगा? नहीं निकल पाएगा. So mostly it will be solidified inside the earth only. So the chances of formation of this granite is very high. In the same fashion, the chances of formation of the peridotite is very less. Why? Because it is ultramafic, it is highly fluidic, the chances of it coming out is very very high. Okay, लेकिन इतना अंदर से बाहर निकलना थोड़ा मुश्किल होता है. Okay, so the rocks which are formed in most probability is granite, andesite and basalt. Okay, so in the later classes we'll discuss, okay, where exactly these are formed. But again, if I have to tell you, I'll tell you, okay, in a very simple way. So basalt, the Deccan lava plateau is mostly made up of basalt. Andesite is mostly found in the mountains. That's why Andes in South America, it is andesite. So next you have the granite. So granite will be forming the basement rocks. So since it is solidified inside, okay, you will be having this big rock on which the mountains are there, continents are there. So it will be forming the basement rocks. And most of the batholiths is nothing but the basement rock. So it is made up of granite. You please, mark up this table, it will be very useful later on. Okay, for example, okay, I'll tell you the applications of this. Now, say you come across a volcano which is highly explosive in nature, then which kind of rock it will be having mostly? Rhyolite. Means you can use such kind of terms in the value addition also, okay, in the mains answer writing, because when your answer will be compared with others, your answer should be having some extra value addition, कुछ तो अलग दिखना चाहिए, तब ये वाले terms use कर सकते हो. For example, if a volcano is silent, right, it does not cause much destruction, it is highly fluidic in nature. So which kind of rocks you will find in all probability? Basaltic rocks. Okay, so this is the application of this, and andesite is mostly found in the mountain, okay, Andes, etc. So this is all about the primary rocks. So once a question, okay, has been asked in the mains about primary rocks, so until and unless you don't write these kind of things, you will not be getting much marks. Okay. So next topic. So this is all about primary rocks. Okay, you have good content of around 200 words. So for a good 10 marker, it will be sufficient enough. Now what kind of question can be asked there? Okay, see extra 10-20 seconds लगेगा, आपका मेंस का क्वेश्चंस भी मैं बता दूंगा. Okay, because आपका ये फाउंडेशन कोर्स ढंग से नहीं हुआ है, so that's why I'll tell you. If you can note down, you note down also. Of course, the focus is more on prelims only here. But again, if you understand in a comprehensive way, because the questions जो geography से आते हैं, वो factual questions नहीं पूछता है, depth वाले questions पूछता है, highly conceptual in nature. Okay, the mapping based questions you will be able to do, but the concept based questions आपको करने के लिए geography में आपको बहुत ही ज़्यादा depth चाहिए. जब तक आप ये सब चीज़ समझोगे नहीं, वो answers कर नहीं पाओगे. Now, what kind of questions can be asked? What are primary rocks? Or they can ask, what are igneous rocks and characteristics? Or what is the economic significance of various igneous rocks? So these three kinds of questions can be asked. Now the next topic here is sedimentary rocks. So this is a surface. So this is a water body or ocean. So on the surface, you have igneous rock. In all probability, the igneous rock is formed because of volcanic eruption. So this is igneous rock. Now this igneous rock will undergo weathering or denudation. Means the rocks will be broken. Rocks are broken because of weathering, because the rocks are exposed to the air, water, etc. And these small particles, these rocks will be falling down. And here we'll be having the agent of erosion. So this is the agent of erosion. So most probability this agent of erosion can be a river. Agent of erosion can be anything. It can be air also, it can be animal also, anything. So river. So these sediments, these are called as sediments now. Now the sediments are carried by the agent of erosion, and finally these sediments will be deposited in the low-lying areas, most probably ocean. And in between these sediments, the clasting material, clasting or plastering material can enter. And under compression, under compactness, these sediments will be attached with each other. And finally, it will become sedimentary rock. So something of this sort. ये देखा? So this is a sedimentary rock. So what it is made up of? It is made up of sediments. and the sediments are plastered by a clasting material. In most probability, this plastic material is CaCO3, calcium carbonate or tuna. And the color of the rock depends on the clasting material. So look at the color here, it is a little bit reddish in color. It is reddish in color. Why? Iron content is there. If it is white in color, more calcium carbonate will be there. Okay. Now, over a period of time, you can have the layer over layer like this. So you can see various layers over, and for this one layer to form, it has taken millions of years. And because of the pressure from above, so these sediments have been compacted and they have formed sedimentary layers. Now you see the color differences also here. Now you see a layer here which is more reddish in color. It is because during those times, somewhere in the geological past, maybe millions of years ago, maybe the oxygen content was high, the rainfall might be also high, and the oxidation of iron has taken immensely, and more iron oxide has been deposited here. So that's why you have this rock reddish in color. Say here, say, see, the rock is white in color. Now why this is white in color? Because maybe during those times, millions of years ago, in the ocean, the marine activity is very high. A lot of marine organisms such as foraminifera or your zooplanktons, they are more in number, and when they die, okay, they'll be depositing a very large amount of calcium carbonate. So that's why, okay, the rock becomes white in color. Now, these sedimentary rocks will be telling you the history of the past, means what might have happened earlier. Let's come back here. Say here different layers of the rocks will be formed. So they will tell you the history of the past, and these layers which have been deposited in the oceans over a period of time, finally they'll be lifted up. So this is how these sedimentary rocks are formed. Now, if you take this igneous rock and sedimentary rock, among these two, which is more stronger? The igneous rock will be more stronger, right? For example, I have a cup here. I don't have a cup. I have a cup. Now, if I am breaking this cup and then attaching it, do you think the broken cup will be more stronger, or this will be more strong, or the igneous rock will be more stronger? The igneous rock will be more stronger. And thus, wherever you have these sedimentary rocks or sedimentary rock layers, these are fragile, these are mobile, so these are easily prone to the earthquakes. If these layers are present on the surface of the earth and नीचे का पत्थर थोड़ा हिल गया, earthquake आया, ऊपर का rock और भी आसानी से हिल जाएगा. So that's why they are highly prone to the earthquakes. Now, over a period of time, these sedimentary rocks which are present inside say various layers of sedimentary rocks have been formed. Now, such kind of very large depression on the surface of the earth is called as geosyncline. And because of various forces, this geosyncline is compressed these layers of rocks will be compressed, and when this geosyncline is compressed, so it will become smaller and smaller, and these rocks will be uplifted. Rocks will be uplifted. And they'll be forming fold mountains of today, like this, somewhat of this sort. I have the forces from both the sides. So this is how the fold mountains are formed. Now say, deep inside the earth, deep inside the ocean, if in between these rocks, say the marine animals will be falling. Say here, you have some kind of fish or something, or marine life. So when the marine life will be falling in between these sedimentary rocks, because of the compression and heat, all the volatiles will be expelled out and the carbon will be remaining back. So if the marine life is fossilified, marine life, if it is fossilified, so it will form the petroleum, and if the plant life or the terrestrial life, if it is fossilified, it will be forming coal. That's why the sedimentary rock of fossiliferous, okay, means they will be having fossils, whereas the igneous rocks will not be having fossils. So somebody is asking me to use light color pens. See, for differentiation, मुझे भी difficult है. Okay, different color pen choose करके सब draw करना. It will be very easy for me to use white color. But for differentiation, I am using, because okay, आपको अच्छा दिखेगा, शायद आपको दिख नहीं रहा है. Okay, I'll go black and white. My strain will be reduced. So let's see the differences between the igneous rock and the sedimentary rock. So igneous on one side, sedimentary on the other side. So the igneous rocks are also called as primary rocks, and sedimentary rocks are secondary rocks, because the sedimentary rocks are formed out of igneous rocks. Next, the igneous rocks are strong, more stable, whereas sedimentary rocks are unstable, mobile, dynamic, and they form the most earthquake prone regions of the world. Igneous rocks will not be having any fossils, no fossils, because they are formed after the direct solidification of the magma or lava. तो molten पत्थर में okay, कोई animal या plant remain होने का chances कम है. Now you guys might be telling me, sir, if the lava is coming out, okay, there was an animal over there, okay, lava आके animal को लपेट लिया, okay, तो igneous rock के बीच में भी, okay, you can have an animal or plant remain. भैया, if a molten rock is coming up with a temperature of 1200 to 1500 degrees centigrade, do you think, okay, the organic matter which is there, it will remain over there? वो पूरी तरह जल जाएगा. And the fossils are formed after a lot of compression and heat, and this process has to be slow. The heat has to be supplied for millions of years. So then only from that organic matters, all the volatiles will be expelled out and the carbon concentration will increase, forming fossils. Okay, so it will not have fossils at all and it will be fossiliferous. Next difference. Now the igneous rocks are not layered and they have layers, and each layer will be telling you story of the geological past. So these are some of the differences between the igneous rocks and the sedimentary rocks. Next is the metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock. See, metamorphosis means change. Something is undergoing change. For example, okay, you have an igneous rock or a sedimentary rock. For example, you have this sedimentary rock. Now, if I am applying a lot of heat and pressure, do you think the mineral and structural composition of this rock will remain the same? No, it will not remain the same. It will undergo change. This change is metamorphosis. So therefore, any igneous rock or the sedimentary rock can undergo change and it can become metamorphic rock. So any igneous or metamorphic. So if a heat and pressure is applied, either heat or immense pressure is applied, then it becomes metamorphic rock. Now, you'll have various types of metamorphism, which is not important for the GS, but again, nothing wrong in knowing one or two terms. So, if it is formed more because of the pressure from all the sides, it is called as dynamic metamorphism. Now, if it is formed, okay, because of heat, it is called as thermal metamorphism. Again, under this you will be having various types, so don't get into all this. So, a Kharga is asking me, layered intrusive igneous rocks, silts and dikes will be doing in the topic of volcanism, not here. So, I am just building you the basics here. So, we have taken the topic of rocks and minerals, very simple topic, okay. So, metamorphic rocks. Now, in examination what they can ask, okay. So, for example, you have sandstone. So, sandstone is a sedimentary rock. So, when a sandstone undergoes compression and heat, it will become quartz. It will become quartz. So, you have limestone. When the limestone undergoes metamorphosis, it will become marble. Okay, these two are the sedimentary rocks. If you have granite, now igneous rock can also undergo metamorphosis. So granite is one of the oldest rocks because the granite forms the basements of the continents. The granite will be giving stability to the mountains and the continents. So these are some of the oldest rocks which have been formed. इतना old है and नीचे दबा हुआ है, obviously उसके ऊपर pressure लगेगा, heat लगेगा, and it will undergo metamorphosis and it becomes gneiss. And sometimes you can also have very fine sediments. Okay, if you are having very fine sediments of the rock, it is called as clay. Now, clay can also undergo metamorphosis. So, depending upon different conditions, it can either form slate, phyllite, or schist. So, the schist form होने के लिए it require high temperature and high pressure. That's why the schist is formed mostly in the deep interiors of the oceans. So, offering the schist, you'll be finding a lot of shark bones, shark teeth, okay, or the animals which are there on pelagic floor, etc. वो मिलेगा schist में. So these are some of the examples of the metamorphic rocks. So beyond this they won't be asking. So what all questions can be asked? See, Adiraj is asking, can you clarify between the weathering types, changes, mechanical? So Adiraj, okay, I'm going with a flow. I have got certain order to explain the things. So weathering is we'll discuss in exogenic. So initially I'll be focusing on endogenic. एक्सो वो बाद में करेंगे, पूरा एक साथ कर लेंगे. And once you understand this all endogenic, and most of the questions will be asked from endogenic only. अगर आप उठा के देखोगे, okay, in the last 15 years, the questions from exogenic are very less. Weathering वगैरह से बहुत ही कम questions है. I would say 1 or 2 questions in last 15 years. That's why focus will be more here. Okay. So what all questions can be asked here? So I told you, okay, 3 questions with respect to the primary rocks, right? And next one is, they can also ask a question, what is rock cycle? Rock cycle. See, igneous rock can become a sedimentary rock. Sedimentary rock. And igneous rock can also become metamorphic rock. And sedimentary rock can also become metamorphic rock. Right? Say a sedimentary rock goes deep into the earth interiors. वो कहीं ट्रेंच में गिर गया, mantle के अंदर घुस गया. So inside the mantle, the temperature is very high. The sedimentary rock can melt and again it can become igneous rock. Similarly, a metamorphic rock can also enter into the mantle through the trenches. Then also it can become an igneous rock. The metamorphic rock, okay, also can undergo denudation, weathering, deposition. Again it can become sedimentary rock. And this is called as rock cycle. And the definition is, rock cycle is a descriptive conceptualization of how an igneous rock is converted into sedimentary, sedimentary is converted into metamorphic, and metamorphic is converted into igneous again. So this is a very simple definition. So you ratify these definitions, okay, because it will become very easy in the examination. Okay, don't write definition. Okay, phyllite क्या है, you are पूछ रहे हो ना? Phyllite कश्मीर में बहुत यूज होता है. Most of the houses in the Kashmir are made up of phyllite, because the Kashmir is located in the Himalayan region, and Himalayas are sedimentary rock, and sedimentary rocks over a period of time can be metamorphosed. So clay, if you are having high pressure and intermediate temperature, phyllite will be formed, right? Kashmir जो भी घर है, okay, sometimes earlier in the earlier times, the roofs of the houses in Kashmir, okay, उसके ऊपर phyllite रखते थे. Phyllite एक light पत्थर है, but comparatively strong है, okay, and जब ये पत्थर एक घर के ऊपर use करते थे, earthquake भी आ गया, तो उतना नुकसान नहीं होता था. So imagine you have the entire slab falling down, and you have, okay, like thin पत्थर, okay, slabs falling down. So slabs से ज़्यादा नुकसान होता है. So that's why we have to take this traditional knowledge also into account while you plan for the houses in the seismic zones. Understood? And next question which they can ask is economic importance of various rocks. Economic importance. Properties तो हो गया. Now why we are studying these rocks? What is the interest? Geography is man-environment relationship. ये पत्थर है लेकिन अपने लिए use क्या है? So in your houses you'll be using granite. Granite का flooring use करते हो. क्यों use करते हो? Granite is a basement rock. The granite has a capacity to stabilize the mountains. It has a capacity to stabilize the continents. It is very strong. That's why it is used in the flooring of the houses also, because of its strength. And also the granite has got beautiful texture here. Here you can see texture of granite. It has got beautiful texture. That's why also it is used. And granite has a lot of cooling properties. That's why also it is used. Okay. So you can take some of the igneous rocks and benefits. You can take some of the sedimentary rocks and their benefits. The sedimentary rocks, for example, now petroleum, coal, it's a sedimentary rock. Okay. Fuel का काम आता है. Sandstone, red sandstone, white sandstone, sedimentary rocks, again used in the construction purposes. Now what is the difference between a red sandstone and a white sandstone? See, the color of the rock depends on the clasting material in between. In a white sandstone, you have a lot of calcium carbonate, that's why it is white in color. And red sandstone, you have a lot of FeO, iron oxide, that's why it is red in color. In history also, you will come across this Gandhara School of Art and Madhura School of Art. Madhura School of Art मधुरा में है, इंडिया में है. तो जितने भी बुद्धा के स्टैच्यूज मधुरा स्कूल ऑफ आर्ट से बनते हैं, दे आर रेडिश इन कलर. एंड जितने भी रॉक्स, जितने भी बुद्धा के स्टैच्यूज, दिस गांधारा इज नथिंग बट कांदाहार, विच इज देयर इन अफगानिस्तान, दैट इज वाइट इन कलर. So white sandstone is used. And most of the important monuments in India, such as Fatehpur Sikri le lena aap, Red Fort le lena. So most of them are made up of red sandstone. So history में भी ये वाला चीज आपको काम आएगा. And metamorphic rock, and just now I explained, slate can be used as used for writing purposes. Phyllite, it can be used for the construction purposes, right? And schist, it is not used anywhere. So these are some of the examples of metamorphic rock and their importance. And limestone, it is used in industries. It's a metamorphic rocks. And most of the minerals, which you get, they are also rocks. They also have got economic importance. So I'll be finishing this topic. These are the sedimentary rocks. So each layer will be telling you one story here. You can find these beautiful patterns. Once upon a time they have been formed in the ocean, and because of the compression, so since they will be soft when they are inside the ocean, they will undergo bending, folding, etc. So this is nothing but, so earlier you had a plant life. This plant life will be undergoing compression, and more you compress, better and better form of the coal you will be getting. You can see coal over here. This is a rock, and above this also you have a rock. So the plant remains have been fossilified and they have become coal. And the life in the oceans will become petroleum. So this is about the topic rocks and minerals. If you have any doubt with respect to the rocks and minerals, you can please ask. So this much content, I guess it is not there in any material which you refer. So इसके लिए आप running notes ले लेना. See, आप prelims के लिए prepare कर रहे हो. मैं ये तो नहीं एक्सपेक्ट करूंगा कि आपके पास कोई नोट्स नहीं होगा, कुछ ना कुछ नोट्स होगा. सो दिस इज फॉर द वैल्यू एडिशन एंड क्लियरिंग योर डाउट्स एंड व्हाट काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस कैन बी आस्क्ड इन द एग्जामिनेशन. सो इस कोर्स का मकसद है आपका प्रीलिम्स क्लियर करवाना, आपको एक बार रिवाइज करवाना सारी चीज़ें. बेसिकली आई एम डूइंग द जॉब ऑफ रिविजन टू यू एंड टेलिंग यू व्हाट इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स कैन बी आस्क्ड इन द एग्जामिनेशन. पीपीटी आई विल सेंड यू. यार पीपीटी में क्या है, पिक्चर ही है, इसमें कुछ नहीं है. मैं ज़्यादा लिखता नहीं हूँ पीपीटी में. पीपीटी जब भी मुझे चीज़ें याद नहीं रहती है, फॉर एग्जांपल मुझे एग्जैक्ट परसेंटेज 46.6 27.7 याद नहीं है. जब मुझे चीज़ें याद नहीं रहती हैं तो भी पीपीटी में लिखता हूँ. मुझे चीज़ें पता है तो पीपीटी यूज़ नहीं करता हूँ, फिर पिक्चर यूज़ करता हूँ. सो पीपीटी आई विल सेंड यू. So we'll go to the next topic here. So rocks and minerals हो गया. Next I will take up. I'll take up important topic here. Geological time scale. सब लोग ध्यान देना. So rocks and minerals में no doubts. चलो geological time scale. अब जियोलॉजिकल टाइम स्केल कहीं पे भी खोलो, so you'll be having various versions. For example, if I am opening on internet, So you'll be having various versions. For example, you take this. देखो इसमें कितना सारा ages, eons, etc. कितना सारा है. Do you think you'll be able to remember all this? And in the recent past, they have asked 2-3 questions on geological time scale. Devonosian time period, Mesozoic, 2 बार क्वेश्चन पूछा है. So बहुत सारा आपको इसमें वर्जन्स मिलेगा, कुछ बड़े कुछ छोटे एक्सेट्रा. I'll tell you in a very simple way which will be useful for the examination. That is what I'll be doing in this class. Content तो आप हर जगह मिल जाएगा, लेकिन इसमें से आपको क्या पढ़ना है, क्या एक्सट्रैक्ट करना है, एग्जाम में क्या यूज करना है. So that thing I'll be telling you. So I will develop the things organically first. So is this thing working for you? मैं बोर्ड में सब कुछ करके बता रहा हूँ, बिकॉज आई वॉन्ट टू डेवलप द थिंग्स ऑर्गेनिकली. फॉर एग्जाम्पल सेडिमेंट्री रॉक्स फॉर्म हो गया, मैं पिक्चर भी दिखा देता, लेकिन ड्रॉ करके भी बता रहा हूँ. ओके, बिकॉज ओके आई फील दैट इट इज बिट ग्राफिक इन नेचर, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम ड्रॉइंग द थिंग्स. इज इट वर्किंग फॉर यू? ओके, गुड. एंड इतना कलर वलर यूज करके मैं ओके आपको और चीज़ें समझा रहा हूँ. व्हेन यू गाइस विल बी मेकिंग नोट्स, प्लीज़ यूज कलर्स. अगर मेरे क्लासरूम में स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं ना, ओके, दे यूज कलर्स एंड ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम द प्रेजेंटेशन स्किल्स विल बी इम्प्रूव ड्रास्टिकली. सी, प्रीलिम्स की बात अलग है, लेकिन मेंस में ना प्रेजेंटेशन मैटर्स अ लॉट. सेम टाइप ऑफ कंटेंट दोनों बंदे लिख रहे हैं, लेकिन जिसका प्रेजेंटेशन बहुत ही अच्छा होता है उसको अच्छे मार्क्स मिलते हैं. एंड प्रेजेंटेशन अच्छा होने के लिए आपको सिंपल ट्रिक्स यूज करने पड़ेंगे, विच आई विल नॉट बी डिस्कसिंग नाउ. मे बी इन द फाउंडेशन कोर्स आई विल डिस्कस. नाउ नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज जियोलॉजिकल टाइम स्केल. I'll be telling you things in a very simple way, things which can be asked in the examination, which you can use in the examination for enriching your answers. Okay, दोनों चीज बताऊंगा. Okay, Kalyan is asking, okay, if possible, okay, please, okay, previous student notes. Okay, previous students का notes ना, okay, मुझे आप मैसेज करो, मैं आपको दूंगा. On this PMF platform I cannot, okay, because again उसमें लोग क्रिप करेंगे, सर ये ढंग से नहीं है, ये मुझे राइटिंग समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, सर यहाँ पे क्या है, वहाँ पे क्या है. बिकॉज कोई भी क्लास का नोट्स लिखेगा अपने हिसाब से लिखेगा ना. सो दैट्स वाई इफ आई अपलोड ऑन द प्लेटफॉर्म, लोगों को कुछ दो ना, फिर भी वहाँ पे तकलीफ होती है. ओके, so way back, say 4.6 billion years ago, when the earth has been just formed. So when the earth has been just formed, it was a molten rock. Pura a red, hot, molten rock in which chaotic convections have been taking place. Means the churning process is happening, right? And the earth is being bombarded with lot of asteroids also, because at the time there was no oxygen, was not there, right? And the geological time scale, जो भी आप time scale यहाँ पे देख रहे हो, for a time scale to change, some geological phenomena must have happened. For example, आप देख रहे हो यहाँ पे, okay, Hadean, Archean, Proterozoic, Paleozoic, Mesozoic, etc. Based on what kind of life forms have taken over the earth or ruling the earth, they will sculpt and change the landscape. तभी geological time scale बदलेगा. Now पहले life ही नहीं था, around 4.6 billion years ago. So this was the condition of the earth during that time. Now during this time, do you think any kind of life is possible? So life is not possible. Means आप life नहीं होती है तो आप यमराज बोलते हो ना. So the Greek god of death is Hades. So that's why 4.6 to 4 billion years ago, you had this Hadean phase. So no life has existed, no life. Now, after Hadean, 4 billion years to 2.5 billion years, you have this Archean. Archaeological बोलते हैं ना, पुराना Archean. Now, why there is a differentiation now? Because just now, okay, we are discussing in Western Australia, oldest crater, which is around 3.5 billion years old, has been found, right? Now, what is the importance of that? Because when these asteroids, okay, when these extraterrestrial objects, when they are hitting the Earth, they'll be puncturing the Earth. When they puncture, you'll be having these volcanic eruptions. And when the volcanic eruptions happen, one of the important gases which is being released, okay, is CO2 and water vapor. A large amount of vapor is released and CO2 is released. Okay. The CO2 is providing the Earth with the required heat because it's a gas, okay, which has global warming properties, and vapor has CO2 है. So क्या हुआ, अर्थ के ऊपर ओशंस फॉर्म हुआ. So when the oceans will be formed, so Adiraj is asking, can you please include map based study also, like India map, physical features, climate type? भैया अभी अपना शुरू हुआ है, ओके. इंडियन ज्योग्राफी पूछने के लिए लंबा टाइम लगेगा. पहले ओके, लेट्स finish with the basics, okay, then we'll be entering into your climatology, okay, geomorphology, oceanography, वो सब होने दो, then we'll enter into Indian geography, okay. So बीच में मैंने आपको okay map based, okay, see इस कोर्स में अगर मैं कंप्लीट नहीं कर पाऊंगा, okay, मैपिंग के लिए आपने देखा होगा मैंने एक वीडियो भेजा है आपको, तो वहाँ पे मैंने डिटेल्ड मैप एनालिसिस आई हैव डन. हैव यू सीन दैट? सो मैप टेक्स लॉट ऑफ टाइम. 1 month of current affairs of the map will be taking 40 minutes. So I have released the current affairs of, okay, mapping of, I send you on the same group, I guess. आपके ग्रुप में नहीं मिला क्या? मैं आपको भेज दूंगा. So that video is not part of this. I am doing it separately and releasing on the YouTube. So if anyone wants, okay, this mapping section ka what video, I'll be sending you. You ping me on the group. I guess I've sent it on the previous group. If you want mapping based का video, I'll send you. So month wise current affairs मैं कर रहा हूँ mapping के basis पे. That will take a lot of time that I'll be giving it to you. Okay, you message me. Now let's see what happens during the Archean time. Okay, I'll be explaining you this in bit detail. So Hadean का features देख लो. Okay, the surface has cooled little bit, okay, heavy meteoritic bombardment is happening, etc. Okay, all these things not that relevant. Now I'll tell you what is happening during this Archean time period, and this is very important. Okay, this will also lay a foundation for your climatology later on. You'll understand how the climate, various climates have been created. So during this Archean time period, see, from the volcanic eruptions, some of the important gases will be released. So this phenomena is also called as volcanic degassing. See, please adjust with this diagram because I could not get a better diagram than this. I could have written on the blackboard also, but writing here will make more sense because you will also get an essence. See, the humans, okay, our brain is not designed to, okay, पढ़ाई लिखाई में design नहीं है. पढ़ के समझने में ओके अपना ब्रेन डिज़ाइन नहीं हुआ है. ओके, फॉर एग्जांपल आप बुक पढ़ रहे हो, पिक्चर देख रहे हो, मूवी देख रहे हो, कौन सा चीज़ याद रहती है आपको? मूवी देखना. दैट्स व्हाई आई बिलीव मोर इन, ओके, मूवी तो मैं नहीं दिखा सकता हूँ, ओके, कांट मेक एनिमेशन ऑफ ऑल दिस थिंग्स, but okay, at least I can use diagrams. So आपको थोड़ा बहुत okay picturization होगा. So volcanic degassing. So from here, important gases such as CO2 and H2O will be released. Okay. And this H2O has formed the oceans, which you can see here. And CO2, okay, has formed the warming. It is able to maintain the temperature. अगर CO2 नहीं होता अर्थ के सरफेस पे, you would have had extremes of temperature. Daytime में you would have had very high temperature because sun's direct heat, and night time में it would have become very cold. And in extremes of temperature, the organisms will not survive. And if you have gases, they'll be able to stabilize the temperature. And in this H2O, and because of this volcanic degassing, you have these elements such as phosphorus, nitrogen, okay, oxygen, hydrogen. And of course carbon. So these are the 5 basic elements of life. Please ये ध्यान रखना, 5 basic elements of life. And these 5 basic elements, a sugar compound will be formed. So here you will be having a nitrogenous base, which you will be studying in science and technology, and here you will be having a phosphate group. See, over millions of years, because you have a time of around 1.5 billion years here. So various permutations and combinations have taken place, and finally such kind of a structure has been formed. Means एक pentagon type form हुआ, pentose sugar, and एक कार्बन पे आ गया nitrogenous base, एक कार्बन पे आ गया phosphorus group, and this has gained consciousness. Okay, and this is how the life has been evolved. So like this, all these nucleotides, they are able to join with each other, and it has formed something called as DNA. And the DNA is a basic form of life. Now, किसको बोलते हैं of life? If it is able to propagate further, अगर इसकी copies ये खुद produce कर सकता है, and it is able to survive करके propagate कर सकता है, उसी को तो life बोलते हैं. So this is how the life has been evolved, and gradually the DNA has become chromatin. The chromatin has become has created an envelope around itself. Nucleus form हो गया, and gradually organelles have been developed, and finally it was able to form a cell. Okay, and this primitive life which has been formed, this is called as the cyanobacteria. The cyanobacteria is nothing but blue-green algae, and this algae is able to undergo photosynthesis, because जब earlier life form जो था, it did not complain. Oxygen नहीं है, the volcano आ रहा है, toxic gases आ रहे हैं, I will not survive. It did not complain. The UPSC students also should not complain much. मेरे पास AC नहीं है, मैं सर्दी बहुत लग रही है, ढंग का खाना नहीं मिल रहा है. जब तक ऐसे complain करोगे, then आप survive नहीं कर पाओगे. So the cyanobacteria did not complain. So whatever resources were available during that time, it was able to propagate further. It was able to survive itself. Then what was available during that time? सूरज available था, oxygen तो नहीं था, CO2 था. So with the help of CO2 and sunlight, it was able to undergo photosynthesis, and the byproduct, the waste product of this has become oxygen. So this is how the first oxygen has been created on the surface of the earth, and this was happening during the Archean time period. Now whenever a new organism is evolving, it will sculpt the earth. पूरा algae form हो गया. So earth का जो shape है, means the surface जो है, उसमें change आ गया. So that is why the time period will also change. You can see the important points over here during Archean period. First stable continental nuclei, cratons. Craton means the oldest rocks have been formed. Ancient mountain belts, such as this Aravallis, Eastern Ghats, have been formed during this time period. Means the plate tectonics were taking place. And early life such as prokaryotes, okay, and free oxygen, okay, has emitted, but still it is very low. So this is what happened during the Archean time period. So somewhat, okay, from such kind of a landscape, okay, it has become this one, something of this sort. So algae was everywhere. So that's why it is called as the Archean time period. Understood? So after Archean, now during this time the single celled organisms have been formed, single celled. Obviously the single cell organisms will become multicellular. So protozoa vagera and beyond that life forms have been formed. So this becomes proterozoic, means bigger life forms have been formed. And for this evolution to take place from 2.5 billion years, it has taken around 550 million years. And after this, further life forms have been created, and this would be called as phanerozoic. Phanero means visible, means visible life forms have been formed. So anything which is below this 550 million years, so this is all called as Precambrian. इसको पूरा बोलेंगे Precambrian. So this Phanerozoic is further divided into three. So this is all Phanerozoic. So Phanerozoic is further divided into three. Paleo. Paleo means Purana. Paleozoic. Ceno means नया. Cenozoic. And जो बीच में है वो मीसो होता है. Mesozoic. So Paleozoic, Mesozoic and Cenozoic. Now, of course, the evolution of the life forms will be taking place here. So, till the Paleozoic, that is around till 250 million years, the life was mostly restricted to the oceans. So this is where somewhere here the plants have evolved, and somewhere here the entire oceans, they were ruled by fish. And इसमें further Cambrian, Devonian, Silurian, Cretaceous etc. है, but वो सब याद रखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है आपको. So gradually the life forms have been evolving. इसके पहले क्या था? इसके पहले mostly cellular, single cellular or at max jellyfish have been evolved during the Precambrian time period. This is all Precambrian. Then gradually the fish has been evolved. Okay, अभी fish evolve हुआ, plants evolve हुआ. उसके बाद somewhere at the end of this Paleozoic, we have this amphibians. Amphibians have evolved, right? Means the animals which can live in the water as well as on the land. Okay, the amphibians will gradually give rise to the reptiles. So when the reptiles have evolved, it becomes Mesozoic. Okay, then in Cenozoic, most of the reptiles which were present, they all perished, and mammals have evolved here. So जब भी एक नया organism evolve होता है, it will sculpt and change the landscape. So that is how the geological time scale also changes. So during the Mesozoic, it was ruled by the reptiles. So you have these three time periods over here. Again, you may not remember, need not remember, not required. Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous, etc. Means basically, you had this dinosaurs. So dinosaurs were ruling the earth. So when the dinosaurs were ruling the earth, do you think the mammals will be able to survive? If there's a competition between a dinosaur and a mammal for food, for hunting कर रहे हैं, भाई खाना किसको मिलेगा? Dinosaur को मिलेगा. That's why during this time, the mammals were very small. Mammals were small, means rats, rodents, okay, insignificant. But once the Cretaceous eruption has taken place, so Cretaceous eruption has taken place around 65 million years ago. At that time, all the dinosaurs have perished and mammals क्या छोटे थे, so rats, rodents, they were able to go inside the earth and they were able to survive the high energy radiations and big fires and a swarm of earthquakes which have been formed. वो survive कर गए and थोड़ा temperature down होने के बाद वो बाहर आके evolve हो गया. So that is how the mammals have evolved during the Cenozoic time period. So this is what you can remember. 2-3 incidents which are important in the Paleozoic, I'll tell you. So during the Paleozoic, around 350 million years ago, 350 million years ago. See, the plants have become so intense. Means the earth was completely infested with the plants. क्योंकि तब animals नहीं थे ना. Animals होगा तो पूरा plant को खा जाएगा. So the plants have become very rampant during the Paleozoic, because in Paleozoic most of the life was restricted to the oceans. And when the plant concentration increases, they will undergo photosynthesis, they will be sucking out all the CO2 and the ice age has arrived. So it's become so cold. And during the same time, lot of tectonic movements were taking place, lot of rifting has been created. And in this rift, all the plant life has fallen, it has fossilified, and during the Carboniferous time period, the coal has been formed. The best of the coal has been formed. So Carboniferous coal is best coal, and Indian coal is not Carboniferous coal. Okay, the Indian coal has been formed around 250 million years ago. This is called as the Permian coal. Indian coal is bit less mature, 100 million years less mature. That's why the carbon concentration in the Indian coal is not that great. Okay, and during the Paleozoic time period, okay, two important mountain forming incidents have taken place. So around 450 million years ago, you had this old fold mountains formed called as Caledonian. And around 350 million years ago, Hercynian. So these are two important mountain forming incidents which has happened during Paleozoic. Because as far as geography is concerned, we are concerned about the mountain formation, right? And of course, okay, why the time period is changing? Because of the evolution of life, right? Now during the Mesozoic, okay, the earth was, infested with dinosaurs, it was ruled by reptiles, okay. So between these two, okay, not much of mountain formation has taken place, because the mountain formation activity is not random. There are certain geological time periods during which the mountain forming will be forming. Now during the tertiary, okay, during this Cenozoic, the Cenozoic is further divided into two. So this is divided into two. One is tertiary, other is the quaternary. And the time period between these two is, okay, differentiation is around 2 million years. So during the tertiary time period, your mountains such as these Alps, these Himalayas, your Andes, Rockies have been formed. These young fold mountains have been formed during the tertiary time period. So that's why these are also called as the tertiary mountains. Again, 2 million years, quaternary. So this is where the earliest human life forms, have been evolved. during the quaternary period. Right? So these are the various incidents which have taken place. And northeast में जो coal मिलता है, that is the tertiary coal, which is not older than 65 million years. Now, this quaternary is again divided into, do we have time? Okay, we can go for some more time. Now, quaternary is further divided. Again, you can go through the PPT here. So, what has happened during the Proterozoic? So, great oxidation event has happened, okay, large scale continental collisions, etc. I can go through all this, I have explained all this. So, Permian, so every time period is marked with the extinction, a great dying will be there. All these things I have explained. Now, the quaternary time period is further divided into three, called as Greenlandian, North Grippian and Meghalayan. So, quaternary time period. Tertiary, 2 million years. So, this is during the quaternary time period, the Ice Age also started. Ice Age. Okay. So, the quaternary is further divided into two. One is Pleistocene, Holocene, right? So, Pleistocene, okay, most of the Pleistocene is Ice Age. The Holocene is the period of warming. It is a period of warming. Now, during the Pleistocene time period, again most of the life has perished. Most of the life has perished. Because जब भी ice होता है, okay, वो perish होता है. Because the life won't be able to survive. During this time period, around 2/3 of the earth was completely covered with ice. So the period of warming has started around 11,800 years ago, but I'm rounding this off to 11,200 years. So a couple of million years here and there, does not matter. So this is Holocene is further divided into three. Okay. Again, why I'm rounding it off to 11,200 years, because I will make it 8,200 and I'll make it 4,200. Okay. So it is further divided into three: Greenlandian, North Grippian and Meghalayan. So this is 11,700. तो यहाँ पे 8,200 यहाँ पे 4,200 है. So मैं इसको भी 11,200 बना दिया. Okay. So the Greenlandian, North Grippian and Meghalayan. Now this is the time period during which the warming is taking place here. This is a period of warming. So आपने मूवी देखी होगी Ice Age. So during this time period, the humans gradually started their migrations. Human migrations have started. Ice से बाहर निकलने लगे. And after this human migrations, around 8,000 years ago, settled. The humans have settled, and they also started agriculture. So this is where the civilizations such as your Mayan civilization, your Inca civilization, okay, your Kiledi civilization, Kiledi excavation हुआ recently in Tamil Nadu. And the Kiledi excavations are said to be the older than Indus Valley civilizations, because Indus Valley civilizations ka records we have from around 3,000 years. So this is still 4,200 years. So Keeled is excavation civilization is much older than this. So we can also add. Officially it has not been added. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में पूरा फंड रोक दिया. अगर कोई बोलेगा कि भैया नॉर्थ इंडिया में सिविलाइजेशन नहीं हुआ, तमिलनाडु में सिविलाइजेशन हो गया, सो फिर उसको प्रॉब्लम आ जाएगी. ओके, सो आई विल ऑल्सो ऐड कीलडी. So, but 4,200 years ago, you can also add this, Egyptian civilization, the great, what is that? Pyramids of Giza, etc. Okay, Egyptian. So 4,200 years ago, there was a drought, extreme drought, and because of the drought, the civilizations have perished, and that is where we have entered into Meghalaya. It's also called as the period of great dying. Now the question is, should we add a new time period called as Anthropocene? Because throughout the geological time scale, we have been seeing that whenever some extinction has happened, whenever new life forms have taken over, started ruling the earth, the time period, the names have changed. Now, starting from, let's say, 1750s or 1850s, the timeline has not been decided. The industrial revolution has started, and the human population has increased enormously. The humans started ruling the earth, and humans have sculpted and changed the earth. Now, in the mains, they can ask questions. Do you agree that a new time scale or a new time period called as Anthropocene should be added to the existing geological time scale? Now, in order to support this, you should be coming up with various statements, so which can also be used in the pre. Now, क्या किया humans ने? So at the 1750s, 1850s, at the start of industrial revolution, the carbon dioxide was around 250 ppm or 285 ppm. From 250 to 280, now it has been increased to 450 ppm. So carbon dioxide has been increased. Sea level has risen. So the yearly sea level rise is around 4 mm per year. Sea level rise is increasing. Deforestation, very large scale deforestation has taken place. Per annum around the world, 10 to 12 million hectares of deforestation is taking place. The rate of sedimentation has increased because the humans are scourging the earth. The humans are doing mining. The humans are causing large scale dryness on the surface of the earth. So because of this, the sedimentation is increasing. More land erosion is taking place. The rate of desertification has increased. Deserts are becoming larger and larger. The moist deciduous forests are becoming dry deciduous forests. Population, in the 1300s was around like 300 million. Now it has come 8 billion. In the beginning of this century, means 20th century के beginning में 1900s में, the population was around 1 billion. That has become 8 billion. Means within last 100 years, our population has become 8 times. भाई किसी भी ऑर्गेनिज्म का पॉपुलेशन इतना नहीं है, जितना ह्यूमंस का है. So such kind of, and temperatures have increased. So from the past industrial revolution, if you see, 1.5 to 2 degrees centigrade temperature has been increased. So the humans have caused large scale changes. So there is plastic everywhere, which is caused because of the humans. On the surface of the earth, you will see a lot of what do you call them? Nuclear materials. Radioactive metals are spread everywhere. It is because of the humans. There's plastic in the ocean, microplastic in the ocean. It is because of the humans. This ozone layer, ozone layer has been depleted. Ozone holes have been formed because of the humans. There's a lot of SOx, NOx, and anthropogenic gases which have been released. It is because of the humans. The humans have shaped the earth. पहले जो earth था, वैसा humans ने नहीं रखा. So that's why there is a need to change the time period, okay, from Meghalayan to Anthropocene. So whatever numbers I have told, okay, please remember. I remember all these numbers, that's why I'm telling you. Okay, anyways, if you guys want, I'll be sending you the notes also. Please go through the notes. In these notes, all these things are written. Okay, when I take the foundation class, okay, give the questions. I ask the students to write all this. So you can also find, okay, 15 to 20 evidences why we should be renaming, okay, why we should be giving a new name called as Anthropocene. Okay. Okay, I hope you have understood the geological time period. I'll be sending you the PPT also, you can go through it. So this is North Grippian, okay, starts with the abrupt cooling event, okay, this is when hunting gathering was taking place. Okay, then you have Meghalayan, okay, this is Anthropocene. So these are all the pictures only. I hope all the doubts are clear. Any doubts you have? All good? Are you guys there? Facts are overloading. Yeah. अभी तो ये वाला Magnum should be read simultaneously. या रीड करो, बट इतना सारा इंफॉर्मेशन आपके मैग्नम में या कोई भी बुक में नहीं है. ऐसा लास्ट टॉपिक कुछ समझ में नहीं आया. ओके सी फिर से आप आपको रिकॉर्डेड क्लास मिल जाएगी थोड़ी देर में, कुछ घंटों में. फिर से आप क्लास को देखना. एंड इतना ज़रूरत नहीं है. मोर अगेन सी यूपीएससी के लिए लॉजिक चाहिए, राइट. इट्स नॉट अबाउट ओवरलोडिंग ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन. एंड वॉट एवर आई टेल यू हियर इट बेस्ड ऑन लॉजिक ओनली. सब चीज़ों के लिए मैं लॉजिक बताऊंगा. एंड आप एक डीपर अंडरस्टैंडिंग जब डेवलप करोगे ना, आप प्रीलिम्स का कोई भी आंसर सॉल्व कर लोगे. सो सिंस यू हैवंट कम अक्रॉस ऑल दिस थिंग्स बिफोर एंड ये फास्ट पेस पे चल रहा है, सो इसलिए आपके कॉम्प्रहेंशन में थोड़ा दिक्कत होगा. बट you relook the class once again and then write your own notes. You'll be able to pick up. Okay. And I am trying to simplify this in a very. मैंने तो ये वाला जियोलॉजिकल टाइम स्केल नहीं बताया ना. मैंने आपको कुछ ही चीज़ें बताया. हेडियन क्या होता है, कुछ लाइफ नहीं है. आर्कियन क्या होता है, तब ऑक्सीजन एवॉल्व हुआ था. प्रोटोजोइक क्या है, सेल्स एवॉल्व होने लगे. ओके देन देन पैलियोजोइक में फिश हुआ, प्लांट्स हुआ. मीसोजोइक में डायनासोर आया. ओके सीनोजोइक में ह्यूमंस आ गए, सॉरी मैमल्स आ गए. देन प्लीस्टोसिन में ह्यूमंस एवॉल्व हो गया, राइट. देन ओके इन द व्हाट क्वाटरनरी टाइम पीरियड यू हैव, सॉरी कौन सा, हैलोसिन में ह्यूमंस कंप्लीटली एवॉल्व होके बाहर निकलने लगे. तो धीरे धीरे आप पे देखो, चीज़ों को समझो. ओके ये थोड़ा कॉम्प्लिकेट होगा. सी आपको अगर आंसर्स एनरिच करना है, सी मैं मेंस के पर्सपेक्टिव से भी बता रहा हूँ. सी टुमारो यू वांट टू राइट ए आंसर इन मेंस. अभी यू कैन नॉट जस्ट ओके से इन ए लेमैनिश वे ना दैट ड्यूरिंग द Mesozoic around long time ago when my forefathers were there, during that time this Caledonian mountains or such as the great Appalachians have been formed. वो पूरा गंदा लगेगा. So you can say during the Mesozoic time, during the Paleozoic time period, the Caledonian mountain building was prominent, and one of the examples is the great Appalachians in North America. So जितना पैसा लिखोगे उतने अच्छे मार्क्स मिलेंगे. Okay, and it's up to your choice also. आप like long time ago the mountains in North America have been formed. ऐसे भी लिख सकते हो, वैसे भी लिख सकते हो. It's up to you, right? If you want to become a जिला कलेक्टर, okay, IAS बनना है तो आपको थोड़ा अच्छी तरह प्रेजेंट करना पड़ेगा आंसर्स को. If you are happy with IRTS रेलवे सर्विस है, नहीं तो कोई भी सर्विस है उससे भी सेटिस्फाइड हो, then you can write answers in a layman